Welcome back to The Explainer. Imagine for a second a heavily controlled, shy young girl who somehow defies absolutely every odd to become one of the most powerful figures in all of human history. Today, we're exploring an epic journey of discovery, love, profound loss, and the quiet, steady courage of a legendary ruler. Let's get right into the incredible story of Queen Victoria.
So let's dive right into this massive paradox. How exactly does a heavily isolated teenager end up ruling half the world? It completely defies expectations, right? On paper, her beginnings definitely do not scream future global monarch. Yet she went on to rule longer than almost any other king or queen in English history. To figure out how this transformation actually happened, we've got to go back to the very beginning.
Section 1. The Kensington System, A Lonely Childhood.
To really understand her rise, we have to rewind to 1819. Her father passed away when she was just 8 months old, leaving her mother alone with the baby. Now, put that into perspective for a minute. At this time, England was an absolute global powerhouse. We're talking massive armies, huge ships circling the globe. Contrast that sprawling, immense empire with tiny, fatherless Alexandriana Victoria, tucked away in a cold, imposing building called Kensington Palace. Life was not going to be simple.
In fact, her childhood was genuinely oppressive. She lived under what was known as the Kensington System. This was a set of incredibly strict rules purposefully designed by her mother and an ambitious advisor to control her every single move. I mean, she didn't go to school with other kids, she couldn't just go play outside freely, and she was strictly forbidden from speaking to anyone alone. She was watched every single moment of the day. Just imagine the sheer loneliness of that kind of total control.
But, her quiet light was already burning. She was incredibly clever and desperately wanted to make her own choices. So she pushed back in the only ways she really could. She threw herself into books, learning French, German, and Italian. She drew beautiful pictures, and she wrote in her diary every single day to document her true feelings and her craving for freedom. And in this highly restricted, suffocating world, she found solace in her one true, loyal friend, a small spaniel named Dash. Dash didn't judge her or try to control her. He just stayed quietly by her side.
Section 2. A teenage queen takes charge. As the old King William IV grew weaker, everyone knew a monumental shift was coming. But could this isolated teenager really be ready? Fast forward to June 20th, 1837. The 18-year-old Victoria is fast asleep. Early in the morning, there's a knock at her door. Two men arrive, bow their heads, and deliver the heavy news. The king is dead. Literally in an instant, she goes from an isolated girl to the Queen of England. And her reaction to this massive news? Absolutely remarkable. She didn't break down, she didn't panic or cry, she just sat tall, completely still, and uttered 4 simple words. I will be good. It was quiet, sure, but it was incredibly strong. Those 4 words completely defined the kind of ruler she intended to be.
That very same day, she held her first meeting with her royal advisors. Now, these were serious, older, very experienced men who fully expected this nervous, easily manipulated young girl to walk into the room. Well, she totally destroyed their expectations. She sat right at the head of the table, spoke clearly, listened carefully, and made decisions with absolute confidence. They were stunned. Taking immediate control, the very first thing she did was end the Kensington system for good. She moved out to Buckingham Palace, and for the first time in her entire life, she was finally free to make her own schedule.
Section 3. Love and the White Dress, A Royal Partnership.
With her freedom secured, the young queen realized she needed a true partner, someone who would actually understand her. In 1839, her cousin, Prince Albert, came to visit, and his thoughtful, artistic nature immediately captured her heart. Tall, quiet, and serious, he was a total contrast to the loud, boisterous men of the royal court. He loved music, science, art. Victoria actually wrote in her diary that near him she finally felt genuinely happy.
Now, here's a totally fascinating historical twist for you. Because royal protocol dictates that a queen must ask first, Victoria actually proposed to Albert. And when they married on February 10th, 1840, she made a choice that literally changed global culture forever. Instead of the traditional, brightly colored wedding dresses of the time, Victoria chose to wear white. Just because of that single, personal decision, white became the standard color for weddings across the entire world, a trend we obviously still see today.
9, this is a huge number for them. It represents the family they built, having 9 children together. They really formed an unstoppable team.
For many years, Victoria wasn't just this powerful monarch, she was a deeply, truly happy wife and mother. And Albert wasn't just her husband. He served as her closest advisor, her greatest support system, and without a doubt, her best friend.
Section 4. The Widow of Windsor, a time of deep grief.
But, as we all know, happiness doesn't stay forever. Tragically, in December of 1861, Albert grew terribly ill. He wasn't old and he wasn't frail, but he grew sicker and sicker every single day while Victoria sat by his side holding his hand. On December 14th, Albert passed away. He was only 42 years old. This completely shattered the center of Victoria's entire world. Without him, everything felt like a cold, dark abyss. She was utterly broken. She couldn't speak, she couldn't eat, she couldn't sleep. The sadness was just absolute.
Her mourning was so intense it practically consumed her life for years. She wore strictly black, she kept his photograph absolutely everywhere, she actually slept with a cast of his hand right beside her, and this is truly heartbreaking, she ordered his clothes to be laid out fresh every single morning, exactly as if he was still alive. People genuinely started to fear she was permanently lost inside her grief, even calling her the Widow of Windsor. But time is patient. She still had a massive country to lead, and children who desperately needed her. She never, ever forgot Albert, but learning to carry his memory gently, she slowly started to return to her duties. And this brings up a really profound realization about her life. Her greatest act of bravery wasn't wielding immense power or wearing a heavy crown. Her greatest act of courage was simply that she continued. Step by step, day by day, she just kept moving forward.
Section 5. The Victorian Era, a time of growth.
Her perseverance, that sheer will to keep moving forward, ushered in a period of unmatched global growth and innovation that would forever bear her name. Just wrap your head around this. 63 years. That is how long she ruled England, steering her country through an era of massive, unprecedented discovery and change.
Let's break down the sheer scale of her era because it is honestly astounding. During her reign, the world saw the invention of the train, the telephone, and the very first electric lights. Her global empire expanded massively, culminating in her becoming the Empress of India in 1876. And her personal legacy? Just as vast. She had so many descendants ruling across the continent that she literally became known as the grandmother of Europe. She might have been small in stature, but her footprint on history was absolutely enormous. Having lived an incredibly full life of immense love, deep loss, and extraordinary resilience, Victoria passed away on January 22, 1901, at 81 years old. That lonely, isolated child from a cold palace had grown into a confident, powerful, and truly legendary queen. When she died, the entire world practically stopped to remember her journey and the legacy of steady strength she left behind.
So as we wrap up this explainer, I really want you to think about what this means for you and your own journey. Her story proves that sadness, loss, and sweeping changes will inevitably come to all of us. But if we can just stay steady, we can do truly great things. Think about your own life right now, whether you're working hard to learn a new skill or facing a massive challenge of your own. How will you maintain your quiet courage? How will you keep your own light burning and just keep moving forward? Keep that question in mind. Thank you so much for joining me to explore this incredible life, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.